Alright guys, let's hold up there. Alright guys, hold up there. First things first, fill up the front row first. So this is chairs open here, 2 over here. So we never begin training until the front row is filled. And then Mark, you can shift your chair up a bit. We want to maximize the front row, put it that way. Okay, so whoever jacket this is, let's shift that behind where you're sitting. Who's here? Is this Leon, is it you? Okay, cool. So, maybe you want to switch. Yeah, that would work. Alright, awesome. And then we have an extra seat over here. Why don't you pull up a bit? Alright. And then let's angle it here so you kind of create like a curve. And then we have a seat here, so. Yeah, exactly, Mel. Perfect. Alright. Guys, in life, don't sit in the back. That's what you want to live life in the front row. Alright, so, guys, what my recommendation to you guys. Alright, the experience is totally different. One of the nonprofits that one of my buddies started, that I was affiliated with Cutco for many years, called the Front Row Foundation. Kind of like a Make-A-Wish, where they, they help people that are, terminally ill or whatever. They make sure they experience something in the front row boxing match, front row concert, front row whatever, right? And so the idea, he also wrote a book called, Living College in the Front Row. So almost like the experience of being front row versus in the nosebleed seats. So that would be one tip for you guys. Make sure when in doubt, always sit in the... There you go. Alright, good. Alright, so, bingo. I'm going to begin with opening comments. Today is all about learning the demonstration. And then we'll do a main assignment at the end. It's basically 3 major components to today. Alright, let me know if it starts getting a bit warm, or take initiative and open the window ajar. How's the temperature in here? It's okay? Okay, got it. Let me know, however, right? And if it gets too cold on this side of the room, take care of yourself, tend to your well-being if you need to, and then shift your chair over here. Alright? So, don't wait for me to tell you to do it. Too often we do that, because then we go up in our own head, we're like, oh man, what the heck, it's cold, and you're not paying attention to me. Alright, so you want to make sure you get those things handled so you can be fully present and engaged in what we're doing here. Alright, so let me start with my background. I want to take responsibility for the credibility and the listening you have from me. Alright, so usually somebody would introduce a person who gives a speech that you're sitting there thinking, okay, why do I want to listen to this person? What do they have to offer? Why have they, what credibility do they have overall? So everything I'm going to teach you to do when it comes to selling Cutco, I've been through it already personally, but I've also taught 5,000 people to do this. Okay, so $15 million the amount of sales that the reps that I've trained have generated. So we're a Hall of Fame office. I left my ring at home, but there's a Hall of Fame ring that you get when you inducted into the Hall of Fame. We have a lot of cool trophies and things like that. I've also positioned myself to be the trainer of trainers, for the most part. So managers pay me to coach them, and video footage where top reps have paid me to watch those videos, things like that. All right? You guys don't get charged for anything I have because I'm paid based on your success. All right? So anything that I have in terms of video footage and techniques I've come up with, they're yours to use. All right? So because I just know that they work. Your success is mine. We're on the scene. We're in it together, as you guys should know. So I'm from the area. That's pretty cool, right? So I can teach you exactly how to sell where you are. So it's not like I'm from Idaho, imported into this area. So my family's from the Bronx. My mom's from Yonkers. My dad went to Mount St. Michael's years ago. I'm from Mayapack, right, so Putnam County. But I've run an office in Manhattan, the Bronx, Westchester, Long Island. So all over the place. All right. So I've group interviewed probably about almost 50,000 people. I'm only going to be doing a few more trainings though, as far as in the field myself. So I'm excited for you. This isn't to brag or anything like that. It just happens to be that I've been here a long time compared to some other managers that are here a relatively short time. And so I happen to have developed a skill set that I can then pass on to you guys. So I'm excited that you're meeting me, I guess the veteran part of my career versus when I was a rookie. Even though we did do well as a rookie office, but you get the point, right? You'd rather have a coach that's kind of been around the block, and has kind of been through it all, essentially. So I sold 21 grand my first summer with a Cutco. I went 9 for 9 my first weekend. I'll teach you exactly how I did that. I'll offer you the same skill, same training that was bestowed on me. I then became a key staff member. I was excited about developing leadership skills. I went on to run an office my second summer in the business. So I started June of '99. By May of 2000, I ran the Manhattan office as a college student. So definitely grew up a lot to be able to do that. I had zero sales experience, zero marketing experience. I had, worked at like landscaping jobs. I worked at an ice factory, believe it or not, for a summer. So it wasn't your most outspoken position. So this job for sure was outside my comfort zone. But I knew that that's exactly why I wanted to do it. Okay, so in order to grow, let's please take action we've never taken before, which you heard me say that in the interview and probably some of the videos as well, guys. So I just saw the importance of that. I went to Cornell. I was studying to go to med school. So I figured business skills would help. I elected to stay in the business world. I love working for myself, being an entrepreneur. To me, it just gives me total responsibility over how things go. Not control, but influence. There's a big difference. Obviously, we can't control everything in life, but we can influence a lot of things. So ultimately, as an independent business owner, I don't wait for anybody else. It's like, all right, well, what do I need to do to take care of myself and make it happen? And what do I need to do to take care of the people that work for me? And let's make that happen as well. All right. So we did well as a branch, $168,000. So a college student owning an office, nationally ranked. That was really great. I made the decision to graduate early and then reopen as a district manager in 2001. So all those things I was telling you about, kind of since 2001 till now, as far as managing people goes. And then 4 years ago, the whole master mentor thing. And so I'm excited to come up with projects that support people in hitting goals, whatever that looks like. I don't know, it could be academic goals, fitness goals, finance, relationships, whatever. So I'm going to be covering a bunch of cool, you can call them concepts or whatever. Not my original thoughts at all. I just took them from somebody else, or I paid for them, because I took courses, and then I'm going to just pass them on to you. The context is obviously Cutco, but these are things that you can apply to a variety of contexts. You could take these things and apply them to your GPAs. You can apply them to, again, those areas I was talking about, right? Fitness and stuff like that. All right, so these things can be transferred to anything you guys are into. And in fact, I want you to start to have what you learn here impact other areas of your life and what's important to you. All right, so you can be well-rounded overall. How you do one thing is how you do everything. You may have heard that before. Okay, so you want to start to really develop some good habits within the Cutco, job, business, whatever, and then you let those things trickle into other things you guys are doing. Okay, so if you have solid work ethic in one area, you'll probably be the type of person with solid work ethic in all areas. That's how that works. You've already started to experience the power of training by talking to each other. As a board, all right? So some of you guys, that was awkward for you. Great. I want you to experience that so you can then stop deciding to be awkward. All right, and instead you can get the hang of it and get used to it. All right, so you already started to step outside your comfort zone as a board. Okay? Take action you've never taken before. You'll be temporarily and uncomfortable, but the payoff is what?
Comfort zone.
Expansion of comfort zone, yeah. So then you're able to then be more confident in multiple areas of your life, right? So take on things that you're normally afraid of, have that equal act anyway. Okay? And I say you, but I'm also included in this. I want you to think I'm like preaching to you, all right? So it's like us. I remind myself of these things every time I talk to you guys about these things, all right? So one thing you want to write that down, in fact. Have fear equal act anyway. I don't mean jump off a building, please. I don't mean do stuff like that, okay? What I mean is if you're afraid of public speaking, you probably should do what? Good, all right? Afraid to go talk to somebody and ask them on a date or something, guess what? Go do it, all right? Suck it up and do it, all right? So if you're afraid of talking to a teacher or something, go talk to them, all right? So if you're afraid of something, then go do it. If you're afraid of, committing yourself to running a marathon, just commit, all right? And then figure out how to do that, all right? So if you could care less about running, you get the point, switch it to something different, not a marathon. Maybe you've been avoiding writing a book or something. I don't know, whatever. Remember, the point is, if you start to develop yourself to, if I'm afraid, I'm going to train myself to act anyway. I don't mean drink poison. You guys get the point, okay? All right, so those other things that I'm discussing or telling you. But traditionally, how do we train ourselves? We get afraid, and then what do we do? What's that? We stop, right? Exactly. You get that? You want to train yourself to do it anyway. I'll teach you a little bit about where fear comes from, so you guys can go ahead and start to be responsible for getting rid of your own fear. And in doing so, increasing your own confidence level. Too often we wait for others to give us confidence, but you guys can actually learn how to, it's just thinking is all it is, right? That's why fear is kind of like, it's not a present thing, it's you assuming the future's going to go poorly. Right? Being up high is not scary. Thinking you're going to fall down and plummet to your death, that's why heights are scary. Right, but the actual physically being up high, that itself is not scary. Again, it's the imagination. It's like, oh, hey. All right? So we're afraid because we're telling ourselves the what's going to happen. Bad things, exactly. All right, so if you're able to say, okay, here's why positive things are going to happen, and you can answer why, you now are expecting success, you actually look forward to things. You ever notice that? So think about the subjects you look forward to, because you've decided you're good at it, and the subjects you don't look forward to, we've made up our mind we suck at those things. Alright, so, so anyway, I'll go through some key concepts. I just wanted you to know I've sold Cutco. I'll teach you how to do it. I'll make sure you guys meet Christina and Jack. Some of you guys already know. Some of you guys actually heard about the job from Jack. Alright, who knows Jack? Okay, great. Alright, so, and then Sarah. Sarah is like the jack of all trades in our office. She sold 20 grand at Cutco, so she knows how to sell Cutco, but she's basically my head receptionist slash assistant. Alright? Christina and Jack, they specialize in assisting me with the Cutco training. Okay, so while they're still in town, really, pick their brain as far as selling the Cutco product. Sarah is more of an administrative person for me, but she also brings to the table the $20,000 in sales. Hey, Sarah? Yeah? I just made sure they know who you are, what you sold. Posa, I made sure they know who you are too, okay?
Okay.
Because I know you guys are in the middle of something. I just wanted you to know that we've established your credibility. Okay, so that's Sarah. All right, great. So I just mentioned you're a jack of all trades. You bring to the table $20K in sales, but then also a lot of receptionist stuff and administrative stuff as well.
Cool.
All right? And then they're doing PDI right now, so I just want them to stay engaged in the process. Christina Posa sold $30,000 plus this summer, so she made over $10,000 in income. She just missed an All-American Scholarship, but still ranked top 100 in the entire country. Her older sister Danielle had sold a bunch of years ago and broke the all-time January record. That's Danielle's plaque right there. So it's pretty cool that siblings are recommending it to other siblings, saying, "Hey, go develop some cool life skills. Go sell Cutco." That's what happened. So Christina and Jack are on pace to run their own offices this coming summer. Some of you may even be their assistants or like top reps in their offices. All right, so allows for us to really give most people the opportunity and break the territory up into smaller units, so we can influence and manage people overall. We'd rather the ratio of rep to manager be a little smaller, like certain schools focus on that, right? So Cutco's, that's our ultimate focus there. Jack only had 5 weeks to sell this summer, but he went like 5 straight weeks at $2K every week. All right, Posa also did over 10 straight weeks at $2,000, so we have to get their name engraved on the consistency plaque. So they just started in this room less than a year ago. All right, so the material's fresh in their mind. They went through the emotions you're going to go through. All right, they can relate to you. They're from the area. Jack, New Rochelle, Christina, Pleasantville, Sarah's from Putt Valley. He isn't Putt Valley at all. All right, so and again, I'm from APAC, so all throughout the area, and we'll be impacting you guys, making a difference. Let me get my opening comments stuff here. 2 other things. Take this. This is my customer list. No, this is not so you can contact them, but if you did, so be it. Whatever, it's fine. But I'm showing you, hey, listen, I sold Cutco. I'll teach you how. And some of these people had already owned Cutco for many years, like 1985, the Giordano's bought Cutco. I didn't start till '99, so when I sold her Cutco, she already had some Cutco for 14 years. So the company, if you request it, they'll give you a spreadsheet of how much the customer owns and when they last bought from you and stuff like that. So just a bunch of my customers from my first summer here, all right? And I didn't have massive orders. I came from a Honda Toyota neighborhood, not Mercedes BMW, but I was consistent. I had 90 to 95% success rate. So I went in with the expectation that people will like this product. It's really good. And I just transferred like awesome enthusiasm. I wasn't jumping on their table going, like a circus freak. But, I was able to connect and say, hey, here's why the product's phenomenal. And you'll learn exactly what I learned. All right? Be your own person, though. Don't change your personality, but make sure you're starting to increase the energy level as you talk to people. So, here, let's get that going around. Thanks, Ed. You for Sam or Samantha? What do you? Sam's good? Okay, great. That works. Alright, and then this is my resume after I had gone branch with Cutco and Vector. So you'll see how I put it on my resume. Some of you guys, there's like tons of extras going around probably. Some of you guys are always curious, hey, how do I type this up and put this on my resume? So even if you only do this for a week to 3 weeks, this January break, you can immediately put this on your resume and communicate some of the life skills that you guys are gaining. For those of you who end up going branch and running an office for us, obviously it's just that much more experience and skills, and it just demonstrates that you're really good. I mean, if you're 18 years old, owning an office for a summer, that's way advanced, compared to the ordinary, even if you're in your 20s still, I mean, you'll be leaps and bounds ahead of like anybody else that's in that age group. I was like 20, 21 running the office for the first time. This is really cool. Interviewing people that are like twice as old as me. I was like, all right, so I sat back and, actually sat back. All right. You don't need to like study these things, right? I'm just kind of, just know that you have them, and if you want to look at the reviews, so be it. All right. Cool. Extras? Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate all of them. All right. Alright, so let's dive in with my opening comments. This will be repetitive for some of you because you guys are supposed to watch the videos. If it is, it's good to hear it a second time. Okay? Because the first time you hear something, you're kind of getting used to it. The second time, there's more of an appreciation for it. Okay, so when you're sitting there, don't listen from the point of view of, I already heard this stuff, alright? Instead, listen from the point of view of, okay, wow, I'm learning this at a bit of a deeper level at this point, alright? Start to learn it too, to the point where you can then offer some of these cool things to people that you keep an eye on. Maybe you have younger siblings, maybe you have nieces and nephews, or maybe you're a leader of group projects in college. Maybe you want to be the person that takes initiative and organizes the whole group. So you can start to use these things to almost begin to manage your peers. You guys get that? I don't mean boss, I'm talking about manage. There's a difference. Okay? And managing them, you're almost empowering them to develop some cool life skills themselves. It's a neat feeling to have somebody thank you for offering them a couple of cool tools that allow for them to be more relaxed academically versus all stressed out. So it just feels great because you know you made a difference for that person. You know, and they can then take that and teach somebody else that concept as well. All right. So our mission is to be have the highest productivity in the entire country. What that means is productivity per rep. That's what each of you produces. So we have a proven track record, you know, in this office for having the highest PPR, at least one of them. We want to actually break the record. No office has ever done 5K per person. So it means everybody does 2K, somebody else will do 8. These numbers really don't mean much to you. Don't get yourself overwhelmed by them, okay? As time goes on, you'll see how they break down and all of that. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. The idea is we're looking to have you guys be just really perform at a high level, all right? And then other offices can be like, wow, that's possible. All right, so it allows for them to believe it's something that they can then attain. It just deepens the value of this experience, and you guys can know you're contributing towards something special. I acknowledge you guys for taking on showing Cutco. Other people are just kind of chilling, lazy, hungover on their couch right now as we speak. All right, you guys are challenging yourself in developing an increased capacity. So that's awesome. Feel good about that. You want to constantly be looking at the actions you take and be like, all right, this is the value I'm gaining from this. In fact, write that down. This may or may not have been in the video. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Motivation comes from it's worth it and it's possible. Motivation comes from it's worth it and it's possible. Was that in the video? It was? Okay, good. Well, review anyway. If you already took notes on some of this stuff, just take it again. Or just know, or take out your notes from your videos you want to add to it. Alright, so it's worth it and it's possible. Okay, so anyway, guys, take responsibility for your own level of motivation. If you ever are feeling lazy about something, but you kind of know that it would make a difference for you, be like, alright, it must mean that I either don't think it's possible or I don't think it's worth it, exactly, yeah. So the way to know if something's worth it, step back and say, if I achieve whatever it is I'm talking about, what would I get? Kind of with them, what's in it for me? Or if you're managing people, whiffed, what's in it for them? So you want to kind of like review in your own mind or on paper, here's what I'd get by staying in college, or here's what I get by, you know, whatever, you know, exercise, blah, 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 right? And that's why, you know, New Year's resolutions go out the window. One of these two things fails. Okay, either people don't know why it's worth it to them anymore, or they just don't think it's possible, they don't have a detailed enough plan. Usually we don't think it's possible because we don't actually break down the plan. Okay, so like somebody drops out of school, it's usually because they don't have a plan to be an effective student. So they don't think it's possible to pass. So they're like, let me just bail then. Alright, so pay attention to those things there. And again, take responsibility for it's possible by creating a plan. You're going to see me reference, or hear me, or see me both. This is an assembly manual for the desk that's in that middle room. We already have experience in life detailed plans, right? I mean, this is like idiot's guide to putting a desk together. You know what I mean? I'm like, alright, I can follow this. These pictures, step by step. So just consider if you were to take this approach, we were to take this approach to like organizing ourselves for tests and stuff, life would be a lot easier. We would believe things are a lot more what? Possible. Cool. Now somebody's going to have you say out loud just so you're engaged in the process, please don't watch me like I'm television. And sometimes you guys do that, right? So I'm like, it would be what? Like you're eating popcorn or something, chilling. Alright, so pretend as if me and you are the only two people in the room, and that would be your way of being responsible for being engaged in the process. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, if you didn't say yes, you failed that test. Alright, so you guys get the point. Great. Awesome. So again, feel good about doing this program, taking on just being awesome. I mean, whatever, learning life skills, great. Here's a little lesson about being nervous. You may be nervous, I'm not. Why am I not nervous? Because I expect that I can teach you to sell Cutco and do very well. Okay, so write down where nervousness comes from. Nervousness, once again, comes from predicting the future is going to suck. Why else would you be nervous, right? So now, has the future happened yet? No. Okay, no. So it doesn't really add any value to predict the worst. Like, it adds no value. Or at least consider that to be the case. Alright? It's up to you whether you want to buy into this stuff or not. I don't know. Right? But, there's really very little value in saying, oh yeah, it's going to stink, but let me take the test anyway. Or this is going to, I'm going to fail this, but let me go do it. Okay, so if you're nervous, just know where it comes from. Don't be, worried about being nervous, because then you're nervous of being nervous. That's the same thing. You get that? Isn't that funny? It's like, I'm afraid of being afraid. I'm like, well, it's the same thing. So it's okay to be nervous. It's called being human, right? It's just knowing where it comes from and be like, all right, no big deal, right? So just be like, all right, I'm doing that nervous thing. I'm telling myself the worst is going to happen. Let me tell myself the positive, but here's why. Too often we just say, it's going to go well, but we don't answer why. So there's a lot of books out there about that stuff, but just expect the best. It'll just happen. I go, that's fine. That's step one, but then what's the plan? All right, that's got to be number two. All right, so it's like, all right, here's why I will pass this test, and then you list the reasons on paper. And now you're like, all right, I got this. And write that down, I got this. You want to have I got this moments and put that in quotations. You ever say that to a boss or something? I got this, I got it handled. Because in that moment you've made up your mind what?
You got this.
Yeah, and you're ready to rock. I can handle this, I know how to do this. Alright, that's another cool concept. You make a decision, we as humans take action, be right about it. We're very self-righteous creatures, right? So it's like, I got this, and then you'll take action to actually do it. But you also may decide, I'm a lazy person. You get that that's not a genetic quality, that's just an opinion you have about yourselves, right? I've had that about myself. Well, not too much, no. Mine was more like, there's definitely some limited thoughts or insecure thoughts. But ultimately, we decided you know what, for years I used to decide I'm an unorganized person. That was for sure. Okay, and that's not a genetic thing, but because I decided that about myself, the way I got to be right about that, I stayed unorganized. Right? And it's like, wait a minute, if they can be organized, why can't I? They're human, I'm human, what's going on? Alright, so, just pay attention to the decisions you're making, because in a bit we're going to look at, these are the 3 decisions you have to make, which you saw in the video, right? This job works, I can do it, and I want people to own Cutco. Like, those are decisions that you would have to make as the individual. And then you'll take action to be right about those decisions, guys. Alright, so, keep that in mind. So, college too, same thing, overall. If you're not in school, don't worry, I'm not either, but I use those as examples just because at one time we all were in school, so we can relate to that idea, to that notion. So, good. So congratulations once again. I already said that several times. In terms of what you can expect from us as a staff is a system that works. Okay, but you have to be disciplined enough to follow the system. Would you agree that if a car is new, the car is a system or a series of systems that it works, right? The car is new, it works. But if you take the keys and stick them in the glove compartment, will the car turn on? No. No. So yeah, you can have a working system, but then you have to what? Initiate it, right? Follow it. You guys get it? Alright, so this works, but if I say, screw it, alright, I just start to throw some wood together, I probably wouldn't want to sit behind that desk. Alright? My thighs would hurt. It'd probably come crumbling down the top of me, alright? So I'm going to teach you an exact assembly manual to assemble your Cutco goals. Okay? But then you'd have to be the one responsible for following, that assembly manual, is my point. I like showing this. That's really good. Woo! So write down PDI. PDI. 3 letters, PDI. PDI stands for Personal Daily Interactions. You guys are going to be calling us often on the phone. Do not try to do this job on your own. Alright, you got to make sure you're reaching out, utilize our services. We're in it together. Let the I dissolve away and have it be partnership. Alright, you working with us. In fact, I need to make sure you're producing great results for customers in the marketplace. That's why we talk so much. Okay, if you try to be a lone ranger, we've had some real issues in the field, you can imagine, right? And then if you try to be a lone ranger and freestyle your own techniques, you probably would be ineffective. Wouldn't you agree? But in that moment, as humans, we usually don't like to take ownership of ineffectiveness, right? We usually go, it doesn't work. That Cutco thing doesn't work. Yeah, we have billions of dollars and we have tons of successful reps that show that it does work. You guys get it? Alright, so no freestyling. So PDI, Personal Daily Interaction. You'll be calling us regularly on the phone, and you should want to, okay? Now the act of calling us is the action. Pay attention to your opinion about it. If your opinion of it is I have to talk to them a lot, then you have a negative opinion of the action. Instead, you want to step back and go, why am I talking to them often? What do I gain from talking to them often? Do you see how that would be your way of taking responsibility for having a positive opinion about what we do here? So we're not just going to do stupid stuff, guys. We do things that work. I want to gain value too. So it's not like we're just going to randomly have you do things that are Right, but you would have to take responsibility for understanding why we do what we do. Sometimes you just like to be a nonconformist for the heck of it. Alright, don't get me wrong, I'm all about innovation, but please first learn the basics, learn what works, and then once you've developed like a mastery of the basics, then you can be an innovator. Okay, but until you've learned the basics, it's inappropriate to start to try to innovate. Right? Because then you're going through a learning curve that we've already gone through. You get it? Right, we had 60 years of learning curves. You said your dad sold Cutco, right? Or something. Okay, cool. And then neat. So we've been through many learning curves since your dad's even sold Cutco. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. I love that. Write down practices. We call them team meetings, but I call them Cutco practices. If I wasn't coaching you, I'd probably be coaching a soccer team somewhere or track and field. I love sports, so. But I happen to get my fill of the whole coaching thing from Cutco. You know, it fills something that I need in my life. I like to coach people. Competitive too, in a fun way, right? So we can look at where we just missed being nationally ranked as an office last week. We're like, oh, all right. So we're like, all right, let's do it. Okay, so the top office in the company did $64,000 last week. The number 20 office did $22K. We missed it by like $1,000. So so this is the national sales report. All right, and then Steven on our team, who started in this room 1 week ago, he's at over $4,000. In Cutco. He just missed being nationally ranked. All right, so but still did very well. I mean, he still ranked he was ranked top 30 in the entire country from what he did this past weekend. Okay, so because I did a training group 1 week ago. All right, and then they're out and about doing very well. All right, so as a group, they're at about an average of $1,000 per person, which we expect. I'll go through the expectations just based on how I teach people. All right, we're looking to now get them all going after their 3K promotion. All right, so we can kind of bring the whole group up together. All right, so and you want to go ahead and use their results as a way to build your confidence. If they can do it, so can I. Let that thought go through your head. All right, that's why traditionally every January, usually the second training group, that's you. All right, does even better than the first because you have them as evidence of bingo. All right, so and then you have more of an expectation versus a hope. All right, I hope. All right, so you want to expect. None of you guys hope to tie your shoe. I hope I can tie my shoe. All right, it's either you choose to or you don't. Do you get it? And so you want to have that be the case for anything you dive into. Not I hope I'll pass my grades or my tests. Just, no, I expect to because I trained and I studied. All right, so that's exactly why. Not hope. Expect. We have field training. That's when you guys go watch each other do demos. Okay, so write down field training. We also have things like personal consultations. Once a week, you'll sit down with us one-on-one so we can give you the personal attention that you desire. Okay, so that's called a personal consultation. So there's a lot of great things, guys, you'll take advantage of. MyFastStart.com is a site that I designed for the business and the company. You'll create a username for yourself on day 3 of training, and you'll begin to get daily emails from me. Okay, each one has like a video clip in it to keep you on pace, on track, and doing really well. All right, so 4 or 5 years ago, I started a videotaping so I can leverage myself through that technology. So I can't talk to all of you guys simultaneously, or if I can speak to you through a video, great. All right, so we balance the two out: video footage plus live, meetings like this. You can expect us to work very hard because the harder we work, we minimize the chance of you doing poorly. Okay, so it's kind of like that. No one's at a disadvantage here. I don't care what you look like, sound like. I don't care your age. I don't care any of that stuff. I expect that you guys will learn the program and you will roll with the punches and figure out whatever. Osher came to me. No car. English second language. Knew 4 neighbors. That was it. Yet sold 50Ks for a summer. You guys get it? So why was he able to do well? Number one, I had to decide as a leader that he was what? Able and capable. You get that? Okay? And so because I believe that, I like to be right about my decisions too. Alright? And then he in turn made the decision too to be like, I will succeed regardless of the hand that was dealt me. You guys get it? Alright, so, and he did it. He focused on what he could do. In life, guys, we're either going to decide we can or decide we can't, and then we find evidence. You guys notice that? I decided I can't do it. Let me rattle off all the reasons why. I decided I can do it. Let me rattle off all the reasons why. So no matter what, you're right, by the way, either way. Is it an opinion? I can or I can't. Is it an opinion? And then again, we look for evidence to be right about that. It's called the confirmation bias. It's a psychological concept, right? You have a bias or a belief, and then we look to confirm it by seeking out certain evidence, right? So that's how that works. So be aware of the opinions you have about stuff. You can expect honesty and integrity from us. When I say honesty, we're going to shoot it straight. We're not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to be authentic about what my thoughts are. So if you're taking action that won't work, I will tell you. Right? If you're taking action that will work, I will acknowledge you and tell you. So both ways. And so, that's important to keep that in mind. In terms of what I expect from you guys, take some of these down. Be responsible, be reliable. Get involved. Be responsible for quality of training. So I'm going to go out of order a little bit here, and you saw this in the video, but responsible equals power. Anytime we complain, I always have to catch myself. Now, it's very infrequent that I complain, because I've realized there's no value in it, so I don't bother doing it. You guys get that? That's a common theme I'm promoting to you. If it doesn't add value, don't do it. If it has value, then do it. Alright, so just consider in the moment of complaining, are we accomplishing anything? Like that exact moment? The answer is no. The reason why we're not accomplishing anything is we're just not being responsible. When I say responsible, it's thoughts, words, actions, your perception of something, right? So be responsible for, like, somebody says something to you, that's their words. What you make it mean, that'll usually create a certain mood. You notice how we blame the other person for the word, like, oh, they made me angry. You guys got it? Or they made me frustrated. Alright, so in that moment, are we taking responsibility for our mood? No. Okay, so as athletes that I coach, I have to make sure that they take responsibility for their mood on the soccer field or on the basketball court, versus blaming the opponent or darn rim. It's like, arr. So as much as possible, let's take responsibility for how we see the world. Because all of us could look out the window, see an event, and then we'd all have our own opinion about that event. Just consider the way we shape the opinion will then leave us with a certain mood. Okay? And ideally you want to be able to, what are some appropriate moods to achieve great success, or appropriate ways of being?
Eager.
Optimistic, eager, determined, I'll throw one out, enthusiastic. Alright, what else? Competitive, sure, and so it can be also just loving, caring, fun, relaxed, chill. Alright, a whole bunch of, things that work, right? So just know that the way you see things, and let me apply this to Cutco, because that's what we do. If you get a no sale, that's the occurrence. You got to pay attention to the opinion you have about it, right? If you make it mean, oh, I suck, I'm a loser, then you're going to carry that into your next what? Exactly, or sell, yeah, and then you probably wouldn't sell then, right? Because then it's like, you'll be all lame, right? So baseball players, if they get a strikeout, they have to have amnesia and go into the next at-bat, like, I'm going to go, hit the ball anyway, right? So, it doesn't matter about the previous. You got to be able to shake things off. There you go. So if you do poorly on a test, who gives a darn? Just to be set up powerfully for the next one. Right? Don't carry emotional baggage from one test to the next test. All right, it just won't work. All right. So write down get involved if you haven't already. Write down positive attitude. I expect you guys to be positive. See, that goes back to, again, taking responsibility, right? Because, you could choose to be positive because you put the spin and I put the spin on whatever it is we experience. And you want to really learn to be like a spin doctor in your own mind, so that way you end with being positive about stuff, right? So that just works, ultimately. So, focus on that. If you ever complain about the weather, just take responsibility, right, for, your own mood versus blaming the rain. Rain equals depression. How's that working out for you? Blaming droplets of water coming from the sky and allowing that to deter me. You notice that? So, and also start to pay attention to get more and more of the decisions. Like, I've woken up in the morning before and I've decided I'm busy. Anybody ever do that? But sometimes you're not aware that thought's there, but if you decide you're busy, what will the day be like? Busy. Yeah, you're like, all day long, you're like, So I have to catch myself now. Instead of saying I'm busy, I say I'm productive. It's a difference. It really is. It's a thought different. You're changing a thought, what you're doing, but it's neat. So I go from I'm busy to I'm productive, I'm much more relaxed, and I get the work done anyway. Alright, so just you ever see me on Facebook, it's going to be a long day with like 7 O's. Alright, so last time I checked, the day will always be how many hours? 24. But if we have the opinion that it's long, it's 9 a.m. and they're long, I'm like, you're already predicting now, right? That the day's going to suck, and it's 9 a.m. I'm like, are you serious? And I laugh because I'm guilty of this too. I catch myself doing it all the time. Alright, write down whatever was there for you, just so we can stay on pace here with these opening comments. Take responsibility for getting the question answered by jotting it down. So that goes for everybody, guys. There'll be times where we do Q&A, and there'll be times where you're going to need to come up to me during a role play and say, hey Joe, I jotted this down, what is this, or whatever. You guys get it? Alright, so, alright, great. Be committed, obviously, that's important. Our intention is to have you guys average your first promotion by Monday midnight. So that means every person, you guys remember how much you have to sell to hit a promotion? $1,000. Yeah, when you hit that first promotion, you get a certificate of training completion. It'll be one this size, guys. We made 2 for Dan, that's why I still have one. I gave him the other one. Alright, so, I think you know Dan. Yeah, cool, yeah, he's a good guy. So he's at like 20-something $100 right now, alright, Cutco. And then he was seeing his brother off last night. So, alright, so anyway, for certificate training completion, $1,000 in sales, you get your first silver pin as well. When you hit that level, and you go from 10% to 15% commission, which is a cool jump in pay. It's like a 50% growth, because 10% of an average order is $30. 15% of the same order is $45. Okay, so that's a big jump. It's like working somewhere for $10 an hour, and after a day, they pay you $15 an hour. So in our business, you control your promotions. You're the one that's doing the work. You're the one that's choosing what you say to customers. You'll choose whether you follow the manual or not, right? So you have influence over your own promotions. I think that's great. Versus it being random or being like political or being like seniority. All right, so you literally influence your promotions. If you want to get promoted, then do something about it. All right, that's kind of how it works. That's right. So. In order to average first promotion, write this number down. Our intention is to have you guys average 10 demos completed by Monday midnight. Now it's an average. I mean, some of you will do 6 and some of you will do 14. You guys get how that works? So the idea is, I don't mind you being tied into what we're looking to accomplish for you guys as a group though. So an average of 10, even with a bit of a lower closing ratio, you guys what's our office average though? 15. Well, out of first weekend that's on the higher end, but closing ratio, meaning percentage of sales, what's our success rate? Remember from the interview? 10 demos, 75. It's 80%. Remember national is 60%, our office is 80%. Okay, so last week's training group, as a group, they're above 80%. So that's what we expect. We're going to train accordingly. All right, but even if you're a bit lower, right, and you end up being national average, that's 10 demos, 6 sales, you guys get that? 60%, 10 foul shots, 6 hoops. Okay. Alright, so, and then average order $300. So what's 6 times 300? $1,800. So even that's over promotion. You guys get that? I mean, shoot, even if you're only a $200 average order, which is even below the national norm, it's still 10 demos, 6 sales, $200 each. That is $1,200. It's still your first promotion. That's why I promote, let's get you to an average of 10 demonstrations per person. Again, some 6, some 14. And that way we'll keep you on pace for promotions and doing well as a group. Right? Tomorrow night you'll learn how to make phone calls. So leave time when you go home to make calls tomorrow night. You can't do demos tonight or tomorrow night. You don't have the supplies. You guys get that? But once Saturday training's over, boom, you're able to start doing demonstrations. Alright, in fact, I want you to go straight from here to a demonstration. Unless, of course, like 1 or 2 of you may have some sort of weird circumstance. But even then, you'd want to somehow work it out. Well, why? Well, because we don't want your imaginations to run wild. Don't forget, everything I'm teaching you, it's all theoretical until you actually do your first what? Demo. Yeah, because then you have real experience. Because until then, we let our imaginations run wild. Like this whole concept here, what if versus how can I? Was that in the video? Okay, got it. So, what if questions means you're probably expecting negative, and you're like, what if that happens? What do I do then, Joe? So for us to ask, like, what if I break my leg on the soccer field? That means you're expecting a broken leg. So instead, in life, let's make sure we ask what questions? How can I? Which means we've already made up our mind we'll succeed, but we're asking how can I succeed? So it's like, all right, I already know I'm going to win the race, but how can I train to do that? See the difference? Versus, because some of you guys would be like, until you do your first demo, you're like, well, what if a hawk flies through the window and grabs my knife and drops it in a volcano? What do I do then, Joe? I'm like, are you serious? I know. But do you get that until you've actually experienced something? We usually let our imaginations go nutty. You ever been on line at your first roller coaster at an amusement park that you've never been on? You're like, it's a nervousness. This is actually what the hell everything is. And then after you go on the first time, you're still excited, but it's not nervousness anymore because you know where all the twists and turns are. All right, so I just want you to just go do a demo, all right? Because otherwise it's just, I'm like, you're like, what if it's a full moon and the barometric pressure causes the customer to inadvertently, poke the table, and what do I do then? I'm like, what are you talking about, really? All right, so the intention, also, bottom line too, you want to start doing demos right so you can make income. You guys get you're not paid to be here, neither am I. We're paid based on your success, so don't put off income, don't put off growth. Remember the analogy of like adjusting the scope? If you shoot at bullseye and you miss, it doesn't matter, we can adjust the scope. So the sooner you begin to shoot at bullseye, the sooner we can start to adjust the scope. The sooner you begin to shoot basketball shots, the sooner we can adjust your elbow and rotation. So whoever does the most shots at the hoop first weekend, as long as we're communicating and you're calling, which you're supposed to, we can adjust the scope. So bottom line is whoever takes the most shots with adjustment will hit success consistently. That's just the way it works, guys. And that applies to anything we're into. All right, overall, I mean, in terms of learning a skill, all right, and doing that. I expect you guys to be confident, have confidence in our programs, our products, have confidence in me, your assistant managers. The biggest thing, though, again, is Cutco. Have confidence in the forever guarantee. The fact that this knife right here, this is 60 years old. That's awesome. All right, this is what we sell people. All right, that's the whole point. I'll polish it up a little bit. It's nice and shiny. Shiny me likey. All right, good. And I pass it around so you can then say, hey, I've held Cutco from 1949. All right. Obviously, we've modernized it throughout time. This is before mankind invented dishwashers. We also started using the patented ergonomic handle in the 1950s. That's why this predates 1950. All right, but I want you to handle it so you can say, hey, I've handled Cutco at 60 plus years old. So by you getting a set of Cutco today, Aunt Sally, you'll never have to buy it ever again. And you'll pass it down to the next generation. Okay? So you can scope that out. That's a butcher knife. We call it the melon knife. Don't call it a butcher knife. Call it a melon knife. Butcher scares people. All right, melon knife's like, oh, watermelon. I get it. Splitting apart frozen hamburgers. Oh, that's practical. I get it. All right, you guys get it? So the knife is the knife. Their opinion is based on how we present it. Starting to understand this concept here too now? Okay, so the knife is the knife. Their view of it you'll influence based on the words that you choose to use. Right, so the job is the job. I'm influencing your confidence level based on how I'm teaching it. But no matter what, it's always the same job. It doesn't change. Kind of like if I look up a lot in the dictionary, is there a number by it? No, because a lot is up to us to determine what that means. Alright, so that's why people ask me, how hot is it outside? I go, the temperature that it is the temperature that it is. You determine whether it's warm or cold or your own opinion. I don't want to bias you. What does that taste like? I go, taste like what it tastes like. You know, we always want to, as humans, want to find like what it's like. I'm like, well, why? Just go experience it and it tastes like what it tastes like. Alright? It's like, what's that like, Joe? It's like, what is that like? That's why this right here, right? It is what it is. That's a cool concept. Now, I finally understood that a few years ago. They used to say it, but I never really understood it. Now I do. Alright? I'm like, cool. It means leave off like your own drama and meaning and all that other stuff, you know, in the equation. So, the result is the result. If I make you mean I suck, we got problems. Alright, so, alright. So have confidence, like I said. Be willing to help each other out. That's important. Okay, let's create a team dynamic. I know you guys just met each other, but why not begin to make a difference with other people? You encouraging somebody else and reviewing some things possibly with them, you're reviewing it with yourself. You also feed off each other's success. So why not bring everybody else around you up? You'll bring yourself up at the same time. When you acknowledge people, please acknowledge them in a way that you're also acknowledging yourself. I stunk at basketball, but I still played. But there were some people on the team that were phenomenal. But I knew that if they didn't have me to like dunk over, all right, then they wouldn't be good. So they didn't really dunk over. But you get the point. Their success was mine because I was involved in their training. I was involved in all of that. All right. So when you acknowledge somebody in this room, know that you're creating an environment of competition, like a fun competition, an environment of excellence, an environment of like hard work. So we all contribute to the environment. Okay? So when somebody else does well, even though you may not be getting like the direct recognition, in a way you are, because you again have created an environment where they can then produce great results. So acknowledge people the right way, please. Honesty, I expect honesty. Listen, if I catch you lying, cheating, or stealing, you're out. I don't give you multiple chances. Now I'm not going to scold you or be like, you're bad. I'm just kidding. That doesn't work. So you learn for the next time, go work elsewhere. But that doesn't work. You guys get that? And I also need to make sure, thank you. Casey, Cutco's Cutco, but there's varying opinions out there about the opportunity. We've had some knuckleheads. That's my opinion about those people. Alright, so like if a student steals customers' money, we got problems. You get that? Now is that like a CEO telling people to do that? No, that's the individual person. You guys get that? We also have some unorganized managers who may forget the process of base pay sheet, right? So we have to manually type that in. So that rep doesn't get paid properly. So now they're like, oh, Cutco thing's a scam. You know what I mean? Now it's not. The program's been around for a while. It works. And Wall Street Journal wouldn't write it up if it didn't. You guys know that. But how the individual person approaches it will impact the opinion the marketplace has about us. So you may only be here a short period of time or a long period of time. Either way, please respect the reputation that exists, and let's work hard to actually enrich the reputation, make it even more favorable. You guys got that? All right. So, please, if you're going to be a house guest, don't like tag the walls. like, burn the carpeting or something. I want you to be here for a little while, I'll just abuse the house. Alright? No, respect the place, alright? I have respect for the owners of the people that are going to be there longer than you, is my point. And I'll do the same thing, right? As a leader for you guys. I'm a stickler for following through on what I say I'm going to do and all that. Alright, perfect? No. But 99 out of 100 times, I'll honor my word, honor my commitments, and if not, I'll communicate it so that way you know that I didn't, and then we'll make a new agreement. That's what integrity is. It means something's whole and complete. If your integrity is compromised, you have to restore it. You have to acknowledge it first, though. Like if there's a crack in the foundation of your building, you can't just be like, I'm going to look the other way. Maybe it will fix itself. No, the building will crumble, right? I don't care if you're in denial about it. If there's a crack in the foundation, you got to, So you got to restore the integrity of that foundation. So we as people are the same way. If we say we're going to do something we don't, okay, it just doesn't work. We can't operate that way, right? So say you're going to be on time at all costs. But if you're ever not, then you need to communicate that before the start of the event. Everybody get that? Even though I say that, remember the first part, which means at all costs, be on time. Because it's always more important to have the integrity still be in to begin with. But if it's ever not, acknowledge it and then make a new promise. You guys get it? Alright, so because all I care about is the future. All I care about is what we can still do. Unless we have a time machine, I don't really care too much about what just occurred. Alright? So moving forward, just make a new agreement, make a new promise, and follow through with that. It's kind of like another expectation, and I expect you and I to have integrity and follow through on what we say we're going to do. Our society as a whole, there's a major erosion in people following through. And then people want trophies to do what they're expected to do. I understand trophies for up and above and beyond, but it's like, hey, I'm on time, acknowledge me. I'm like, well, that's expected. Why the hell could I acknowledge you for being on time? You know what I'm talking about, right? It's like, give me a high five, pat me on the back for doing my assignment. I'm like, well, duh. You're supposed to do that. If you double the assignment, then I'll give you a nice high fiver. Alright? It would be like, rock on. Let's cruise through some of these things. So make up your mind that this job works, I can do it, I want people to do Cutco. You have to, what, instead of hope? Expect success. Okay, you guys got that from the video, right? Because whatever you expect to happen, it's going to alter our mood and our being. So if I expect to suck at a math test, you guys remember the video, I'm going to be nervous during the math test, right? And then I'm going to take action. I'll still take the test, then I'll get to be right, be like, I knew it. I told ya. See, if we follow through with I told ya, that's how you know it was an expectation. And that's exactly why we made that happen. A self-fulfilling prediction, self-fulfilling prophecy. We predict it, and we make it right. Okay, even though it's not always what we want, though. Right? So if I think I stink at math, I want to do well, but my expectation is I suck at math. Right? So we got to start to be really honest about our expectation. So the way I can coach you guys, I'm going to ask, hey, what do you think about making phone calls? Or what do you think about the referral approach? What do you think about that? But if I did a visual with you guys, like an exercise, you close your eyes, and I was like, hey, what's your first demo going to be like? I want you to envision it. And it's neat. We go through this whole exercise, you'll envision what happens and all this stuff. Now, has that even happened yet? No, but because you're able to envision something, don't you get that that's not your expectation? Yeah. Alright, so you want to pay attention to that. We can do that with a test. Hey, imagine yourself going to your next exam. What's it going to be like? What's the test? How are you going to be feeling? Alright, what type of grade will you get? Da-da-da-da. And that'll allow for us to know, in fact, what we're expecting, and know that until we change expectation, we won't be able to change what? Exactly. So if you dive into tutoring somebody, they're like, I suck at math, but help me so you could dive into helping them study, but until you change the opinion they have of themselves, it won't work. Alright, so you have to be like, hey, listen, are you willing to change your opinion about your ability to do math? And if you're not, we're wasting our time here. Alright? So you support them in changing their opinion, and then you come up with a plan, alright, to reinforce a new opinion. Bang. On track, maybe on track, off track. You should always perceive yourself as what? On track. Because it's your right, it's your opinion. Okay? If you say you like blueberries, I'm not going to be like, you're wrong. My favorite fruit is strawberries. You're wrong, Joe. I'm like, what? It's my opinion, my favorite fruit. Alright, so if you say you're on track, you're right. You say you're maybe on track, you're right. You say you're off track, you're right. Because either way, it's an opinion, but it has no value to conclude you're off track. The second we do, we then start to skip class and don't go to the gym or whatever, and we see, I knew it, I was off track. No, you just stopped taking the action. Okay, and that's why you became right about being off track, right? We already covered this, that's good. We talked a bit about comfort zone, keep challenging yourself. Now, you're going to consider quitting every time you step outside your comfort zone. Don't actually quit, know that it has value, but you got to get used to being temporarily uncomfortable. Okay, so learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Again, I don't mean wear wet clothes or anything like that. Alright? Don't tell me to go into training. I'm wearing soggy wet clothes outside. Alright? No, alright? But learn to be comfortable with temporarily being uncomfortable. All right, because once you do the action several times, the comfort zone will actually expand. All right, so don't give up when something's uncomfortable. Know that success is right around the corner and growth is right around the corner as a byproduct. I'm reframing it in for you so you guys don't freak out if you're uncomfortable. You actually put a positive spin on it. Do you guys get it? All right, that way you're taking responsibility for your own growth versus bailing on stuff. Create positive versus avoid negative. Okay, that's tied into this concept right here. Okay, so if you say, hey Joe, I'm going to work really hard to avoid a no sale. You say those exact words, that tells me you're expecting a no sale, right? I think the videos I talked about, athletes, I'm going to go avoid injury, coach. Coach, I'm going to play, but I'm worried about getting hurt. Or I'm going to play, but I don't want to get hurt. I'm like, all right, well, that means you're expecting it. Let's talk about why you should expect to play well and be confident. Because if you expect to get hurt, wow, you get hurt. Right? Some of you guys have experienced that in athletics. You know what I'm talking about. All right, so I'll keep that in check. You want to create the sale versus avoiding the no sale. There's a difference. Okay, create the referrals versus avoiding a rejection. Big difference. When we did that, yeah, this ties into some of these. So real quick, you guys should watch all these videos. If you didn't, I'm going to have to scan through them briefly. Okay, because below the opening comments video, there's a series that was like a scrolling thing, right? That had these right here. Here's the simple fact. When you're new, you will have what? Okay, but instead of getting freaked out by that, because then we're like, oh no, that means I'm not destined to do this. There's no, it's not like we're born with you. Like, it's not like you're in the womb, like learning how to ride a bike. All right, it's weird. Right? That's my story. I'm sticking to it. But you're not like born. You make yourself fit to ride a bike by learning how to ride a bike. You know what I mean? Hey Jack, this is Jack. You guys know Jack. Hey Jack.
What's up, everyone?
All right, so Jack's this manager. Take advantage of him while he's here. Right?
Yeah.
So. Groovy. Welcome back, Jack. I take a look to see if you can do some of those PCs, if that works, and kind of coordinate that. And then just OG, PDI, let's get people jamming one rep at a time. Let's just make sure really have an engaged conversation. Hey, how can we win the next 2 days? Just have a 2-day focus. Too often we just 48-hour win. You know what I mean?
All right.
It's like taking one play at a time in football or soccer, every minute at a time. Thanks, Jack. Alright. Jack's doing a great job. Again, so is Christina, so is Sarah. Their level of dedication to you guys is phenomenal. Alright, so please, again, utilize them. Alright. Listen, anytime you dive into something new, they'll be concerned. Turn them into unanswered questions, get them answered. So you especially want to focus this with the customer. If a customer says too expensive, the unanswered question is, why does it cost what it does? Okay? And then if you answer that question, they no longer have that concern. If they say, I'll buy later, I'm concerned about getting it now, their unanswered question is, why should I get it when? Now, and if you answer that, like you actually answer that, they're like, all right, I get it. Okay? So any concern can be turned into an unanswered question, and you can take responsibility working with the customer to get it answered. And that's how you create a sale. It means it's a comfortable, confident decision because they have all their information they need, ultimately. You have to do the same thing, though, in order to make up your mind about these things. Okay? So get these handled so that you can then expect to leave here and be like, I'm going to go freaking light the world on fire. Which is what I did. That's why I went 9 for 9, because I left with all, the confidence and the expectation for success. Alright, so phone skills, the unanswered question, how does one make calls? There'll be different approaches. Make sure you follow the approach. There's going to be one for people you know very well. Even that's an opinion, right? I know them very well. Who's saying that when you say that? You are, right? So you want to pay attention to those statements, right? I know them very well. Great, well, we have an approach for that. Then there's going to be acquaintances. Acquaintances are people you may not have met, but they know you exist, meaning your mom's friend. So when I call them up, I'm like, I'm Giannelli's son. They're like, oh yeah, your mom talks about Jello. You guys get that? Meanwhile, I never met them, but you get that it's an acquaintance. Even some of my high school friends' parents that I've never met, but because I'm associated with somebody close to them, that's an acquaintance. Third tier is like a referral. Okay, so it's people you never met before. They don't even know you exist on this planet. There's a separate approach for that. It's just different. Okay, but you want to make sure you're equipped to do the action. Don't ever take the action unless you have the tools. Okay, don't go to baseball practice without a glove. All right, so don't start to try to catch the balls with your bare hands. You want to have a mitt. Okay, these big pop-ups. Referrals. How does one get them? Well, follow the program. Again, unanswered question. We have a system. You follow it. Plant seeds in the beginning of the appointment. Tell people, hey, at the end, you're going to introduce me to a lot of people. Let's have a lot of fun today. Explain how it's important to you. Okay? You got to expect it, though. Fair enough? And then at the end, it's just an approach. You either learn it or you don't. Okay, so it's like you think I gotta come up with a better analogy ultimately, but it's like either we're pregnant or we're not, right? It's like that's something where you can't be partially, right? So the light's either on or off. Maybe I'll use that one instead. Okay, all right. But the point is that like either you know it or you don't. Too often in life we let ourselves get like 80% of the way there, and we think that's okay. Okay, so either we know it or we don't. Okay, either we're pregnant or we're not. So either you do the approach or you don't. Don't do 80% of the approach and then expect to get 100% of the desired outcome. It just doesn't work that way. So I always promote to people, I go either 100% follow it or it's as if you're not following it at all. Okay, one or the other. So follow the approach will be fine. In terms of no sales, well the approach is very much like, hey, love what I do, can't knock on doors randomly, here's the most important part. I get paid every time I show Cutco. What I need you to do, I'm cleaning up and jot down a whole bunch of people that you know. Not people who buy Cutco, they don't have to. Just people nice to talk, so I can talk to them on the phone and then run the whole thing by them. And then I give thought joggers. At least 20 times you're going to have to say it could be anybody. Because they like to write down people they think are going to buy $1 million from you because they want to help you out, right? And they have this weird, like, ideal of who they should write down. But it's like who has 15,000 children, cooks 30 times a day, and will buy 3 blue binders from you, like everything's blue binder. And so they write down like one person. So I have to make sure that they're not. It's rooted in them wanting to help you, but I have to make sure they're not prejudging. You get it? So it could be anybody. It could be anybody. They're like, oh, it could be anybody. I go, yeah. After 17 times, it could be anybody. I go, people with a pulse. Can they breathe air? Yeah, put them down. All right, awesome. All right, sweet. Put Albuquerque, New Mexico. Great, put them down. I don't care where the hell they live. Get them right in. All right, so good. No sales. Your next question: how does one get sales regardless of economy? Now you want to start to be able to get these answered, even though you have people in your life going, "You won't sell anything. Everybody's broke." But it's like, but didn't you just go to the movie yesterday and pay like $13 on like Pop-Tarts or not Pop-Tart, candy? It's like yeah, but whatever. It's like people are broke. They don't got anything. But didn't you just buy an iPhone 5? Yeah. Whatever. Just get it? So you're going to get people who are like, and people are entitled to their what? Yeah, but don't let it affect your view of like, it's just so funny because these things are just not rational. You just get that? It's like, well, if everybody has Cutco, who's going to buy more? I'm like, the average order is $300. That's not everything we make. There's not a single human being on this planet that has every item Cutco makes. I probably shouldn't say that. That's like a final thing. Maybe there's one. I don't know. Right? But it's like, this entire blue binder of stuff. All right? So you sit down with somebody who already has Cutco, they'll do what? They'll buy more. Okay? There's weddings coming up. There's whatever gifts. It's just amazing some of the things we hear from people. But it's just fine. Here's how I want you to hear when people are saying something like that. Although they're playing devil's advocate with you, it's rooted in them being concerned and caring for you. Like they think that, well, they since they can't handle something, they think you probably couldn't either. It's almost like they're projecting that on you. You know what I mean? And because of that, they're worried about you guys potentially failing. And their way of protecting you is to almost discourage you. But in actuality, if you don't try something, to me, then you have no value added. You guys get it? So when you hear somebody with an opinion, just know it's an opinion. Don't take it to heart. Ultimately, you have to make your own opinion about stuff. So pay attention. Otherwise, you'd be blaming them for your confidence level. They made me insecure. I go, no, they didn't. Right? Words came out of their mouth. You chose to then internalize them, and then you chose to be insecure. How's that working out for you? Not very good. Well, don't do it. All right, so people can buy stuff. If you ever want confidence, just go to the mall or BJ's. Watch people buy like an 80 million pound box of something or a bag of something, and it costs a lot of money. All right, Nike sneakers cost a lot of money. People buy them all the time. You guys buy college textbooks every semester, okay? What, $150 a pop? Whatever. TVs were to break. How quickly will your relatives buy a new TV? Yeah, and the average TV is at least $1,000 nowadays. Fancy ones are like $2, $3, $4, $5,000. You know what I mean? With all like the Netflix, internet connection, blah blah blah. All right, but I mean, most living room TV sets will cost you a good, I'd say, $1,200, $1,300, $1,400. Okay, and most people would buy a new TV in a heartbeat so we can watch our movies, our book tube. Yeah, it's like so we don't have to talk to people. We can live vicariously through the actors. Awesome. You can tell I have an opinion. But yeah, I watch TV all the time. I'm just kidding. I do watch my TV though. In terms of time management skills, people are like, I'm concerned I'm going to get stressed out, blah, 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 blah. People are, you ever hear yourself say, oh, I don't know if I have enough time. And then I ask you, I go, well, how much time will that take you? I don't know. It's funny, we decide we don't have enough time, but then we don't determine in advance how long something takes us. You ever dive into studying without actually having it broken down, looking like something like this? If I were to say, how long will it take you to study? You're like, I don't know, I'm just studying. And the whole entire time, what's our concern? We're running out of... Yeah, because we didn't actually take time to budget it. But if you, in advance, wrote down what studying means to you, like the action steps, and you estimated the length of time, and you're like, all right, that'll take 3 hours, there's no worrying about running out of time. You just have to make sure you start 3 hours before the next thing, the test, or whatever else you're doing. So that way there's no, you just don't need to be stressed out. Because if you get stressed out, you won't even be able to absorb the material in the textbook anyway. So it'll take you longer to study. Okay, so from now on, please don't dive into something unless you've already kind of estimated the length of time that thing will take you. Otherwise, we'll feel like we're running out of time. Same thing goes with money, right? I'm running out of money. I go, well, how much do you need? I don't know. And then you're the cause of your own stress then. Alright, I'm going on a trip. Here's how, how much I'll need. Maybe you overestimate a little bit. Either you have the money or you don't. See how there shouldn't be any anxiety connected to that? Alright, so, anyway. Point of time management, you'll have a weekly activity schedule, map it out, and hand it in. But be disciplined to fill things out. Like Matt the other day on the team, see, as a college student, if you don't have other things going on, you kind of get by without pre-planning a lot of stuff. But if you want to be the type of person that accomplishes a lot in life, you're going to have to pre-plan. That's just the way it is, guys. Okay, so if you have like a family to take care of, and projects, and philanthropy, and travel, and different sources of income, and all these different things you're into, if you want all of that, it's going to require pre-planning, for sure. So each week is 168 hours. That never changes. Funny, we wake up each day, we're like, many hours will I get today? Ooh, a 12-hour day, no. Ooh, 36 out now. You guys, so it's always the same, so therefore you can always predict what you're doing ahead of time. Too often we play the whole, it popped up game. No, it didn't. Somebody had it in their schedule somewhere. We just didn't take the time to ask the person what we got coming up. It's one thing, knock on wood, if you get into an accident or something, that's unforeseen. You guys get that? Alright, but most things that we get stressed out about last minute, somebody knew about them somewhere. Okay, so please take the time to get to know those things ahead of time. Pre-plan what you're doing. Call your shots. Break things down into action steps. And all that's left to do is for you to follow it. That'll eliminate stress, or alleviate stress at least, okay? And you'll be able to accomplish a whole lot more, each day. Okay? Transportation, deal with it. Accept it. There's a thing called acceptance versus tolerance. You guys get it? Well, maybe you don't. I didn't explain it. Okay, so acceptance means you're not, feeling bad anymore or judging the situation. You just accept it. It is what it is. Asher just accepted, again, from Israel, blah, 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 right? He's there, I'm accepting this is what I'm dealt with, but now I'm going to go ahead and come up with an action plan. But if we sit there and complain the whole time about what we have, do you get that that's not really acceptance? That's kind of like tolerating. Okay, so let's accept what we have and then take action. Not tolerate and complain constantly, because then we'll half-heartedly take action. And it won't work. Alright, so sometimes you just got to accept what you're dealt with and then come up with a plan to succeed. And again, whether you think you can or can't, you're right either way. Alright, so I've reps without cars still succeed. We come up with strategies. There's neighbors you could do, there's virtual demos, you could coordinate getting rides. You're going to need to not judge making a request though. A request is a request. Too often you think, I'm putting them out of their way. You guys get that? It's kind of like our way of caretaking almost. Instead, just make a request and let them do what? Yeah, you answer or decide, right? Freely. Okay? So don't assume they're not going to be into it or whatever. We do that a lot. I've done that a lot too, right? I always make up my mind for the person as to whether they're going to think something's cool or not. And I come into it all timid, would you can you take me somewhere? Maybe? Right? And we wonder why they get all weirded out, because they're like, well, why is this person all weirded out? Sets up a red flag to them, right? They're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Why are you all nervous? So we're the cause of the weirdness. Right? Instead, it's like, hey, can you drive me? It really means a lot to me. They say, no, okay, cool, I'll have somebody else. Alright, that way you're giving them the freedom to choose without getting upset at them. Like, whatever, yeah, I'll do you the favor. You know? You get that? That's commitment versus emotional attachment. You know? If you're committed to somebody, it means you're giving them the freedom to choose. You're still committed to them buying Cutco, but whether they say yes or no, you're not going to let yourself get emotional about it. Right? So you want to be committed but not emotionally attached. Is really what you're looking to do with this job and dealing with people. Flack. You may get flack from parents. I get it. Alright, it's fine. So be it. But again, you get flack from parents. I want you to hear it as they care about me. They may have questions that are unanswered though, right? Ultimately, if you don't get everybody to support everything you're doing, that's okay. Ultimately, you have to have the opinion again and support yourself. When it comes to doing things. But instead of viewing it, my mom is holding me back. How about you provide a service for her and say, my mom must have an unanswered question. Let me get it answered for her benefit so that she understands. Because no matter what, I'm going to succeed. I know that I can do this. I know that it works. I'm not going to let her concern influence my ability to do something, because then I'd be blaming her. But hey, you know what? You may want to provide a service for her, though, is my point, right? So if your mom's like, oh, that's dangerous, some weirdo, well, whatever. It's like, well, Mom, it sounds like your unanswered question is, why is the job safe? So let's make sure you get that answered, Mom. Let me explain that to you so that way you can support me in my quest or whatever it is I'm doing. You don't have to use the exact words I use, but you're getting the concept and psychology of it, right? And so, why is it safe? Well, you begin with people you know. You guys get it? Your Aunt Teresa's not going to recommend you to weirdos, guys, all right? That's why we do a warm market, not a cold market. You always have to have a name to drop. When you're new, you drop what? Your own name, okay? Hi, I know you, great, all right? So you pick and choose. Our target market are moms with kids. It's not very spooky, guys, okay? So do you see how if you properly explain the program to your mom, it'll do what with her safety concern? Answer, it dissolves away. Get it? Okay? And this applies to really anything, okay? But yeah, you'll always get flack. It'll always exist no matter what. You can look online, any product. You ever notice that? Ever watch a video, like a YouTube clip, that's so heartfelt and moving, but there's always like 2 thumbs downs? And you're like, how the hell could any human being put a thumbs down? Is it unlike, whatever you call it, what's the YouTube? Is it thumbs down or?
Thumbs down.
It's like, are you kidding me? Like, it'd be the hardest, the most heartfelt, like, do you know what I'm talking about? Has anybody ever experienced that? Like wait, really? What the hell was that? Alright, and ultimately people just do those kind of things, alright? And it's okay, they're entitled to that. They can click whatever freaking button they want. Alright, but you can't allow the freaking thumbs down to affect, oh my god, I'm crushed, I made my first YouTube video to try to make a difference and somebody put thumbs down. I'll never make a YouTube video again to impact the world. That's it. It's like, whatever. I can't kick at some of these things. There's an awkward, see in order to feel awkward, we have to decide we're what? Awkward. Yeah, so we're at the own source of it. Imagine the word awkward didn't exist in the language. Chaos. Alright? It's like some words are like, damn you for inventing that word. Alright? Because if we never had the word awkward, we could never describe things as being awkward. Alright? And then we wouldn't be plagued by it so darn much. Consider at any given time, you're either going to judge yourself or be focused on what you're doing. So let me just paint the picture of the customer. If I'm sitting there thinking, oh crap, did I forget what I'm supposed to do here? In that moment, I'm not what? Engaged in connecting and making a difference for them. So you're either going to be judging yourself, hurting your confidence level, or you're going to be providing service for the customer. Number one, accept the fact none of us are perfect. If you kind of go into it with that, you're not going to be so afraid of being imperfect. Alright, because it just is. That's what we do. We're imperfect creatures, alright? So if you're judging yourself, just consider you're not really fully engaged with the customer. And don't beat yourself up for judging yourself, you're just doing that human thing, right? All you gotta do is catch it though, and then focus on the customer again, right? So public speaking, we do that a lot of times. We'll go up in our own head, we're like, oh, am I doing a good job right now? I don't know, am I fly down? I'm not sure, did I just stutter? Oh my goodness, am I screwing up? You get all red and flush, right? Your heart starts to... Meanwhile, if you just chilled out, skipped over the judgment of yourself and just said, okay, what am I accomplishing? And just totally focused out there with the people you're talking to, then you wouldn't even have to worry about you. Okay? So, just stop judging yourself so darn much. The point is, we as humans, we drive ourselves crazy, what?
Looking good.
And also avoiding looking bad, right? That we make that the objective versus the objective of what we're really doing. So it's almost like the intention of like, we forget that the speech we're giving accomplishes something, instead the goal is to get up there and look good. Get it? So if you can let go of this, you'll have a lot more fun in life. That's why nowadays, to me, life is more fun. I don't drink anymore. I haven't drank in well over a year. But I'll go out and just get like a bar going. Like on my own. I'm just hanging out with Team Human. I made a video about how I'm able to do that. Like I'll just pick up and fly somewhere and meet people, whatever. 5 years ago? Heck no. Alright, because that wouldn't what? Potentially look good, alright? But now it's like I have more fun than ever before. I have more friends than I've ever had. I have more influence than I've ever had before. And I'm able to, try new things. Because in the past I used to avoid trying things until I knew I was perfect at them. Yeah? Like I wouldn't give a speech until, do I have it down pat? And I put off going, right? So if you give up looking good, you'll actually do better selling Cutco because you'll connect with your customer more. You'll make them the focus instead of you. Okay? Right? So it's one or the other. You can't be confident and insecure simultaneously. All right, do both now. Go. All right, now it's like one or the other. Right? So when you're in the middle of a test, step back. Be like, I still got this. I wish your coach or your teacher would call time out in the middle of the test. Everybody, stand up. You're still on track. Right? There's still time left. You will succeed, because then you'll be like, all right, I got this. You know, instead of like you guys halfway through, you're like, it's it. Screw it, I failed. You know, meanwhile you're like 10% into the exam. How's that working out? Alright, so anyway. Safety, we covered that. Attire, wear whatever the heck you want. If you decide that it looks good and works, great, rock on. Alright, you guys saw in the video, placebo effect, superstition. If you think 2 pairs of socks will help you throw the baseball faster, then wear 2 pairs of socks. You'll throw the baseball faster, right? If you think brown shoes will help you sell less, then you better be wearing those brown shoes. Alright, because they'll be like, I wore my lucky shoes. I told you, Joe. Alright, then you'll actually do better, right? So I'm all good with that. So wear whatever the heck you want. Just know that you, don't go extreme, okay? Don't wear like a tux or like a pair of gym shorts, okay? I don't recommend you do that. Selling to people you know, that's the action. Pay attention to your opinion of it, right? So the action is selling people you know. That's what's so, right? But you may make that weird or you may make that cool and exciting. Either way, you'd be right. So pay attention to the opinion you have, because it's going to affect your demeanor and your mood when you actually call those people. So the spin I put on it is, wow, I get to rekindle a relationship with somebody. I get to at least let them know that a product exists, and they'll decide whether they want it or not, and I'm going to entertain them for an hour. It'll be a fun time. Positive spin, right? Whereas somebody else is like, oh, that's weird, I haven't talked to them all, they're going to think I'm using them. But yet, we're talking about the same action. Okay, so change your opinion of the action so you can alter your confidence when you take that action, guys, okay? And no, I'm not going to have you touch a hot stove or do anything like that would, so you just got to kind of have faith as well. Like, all right, let me be open-minded. You guys remember open-minded from the interview? It means we've yet to make up our mind about something. Sometimes we decide an opinion about something when we never even experienced it. So some of you guys have decided selling to people you know is a certain way. But has anybody here done a Cutco demo? Not a single one of you. So do you guys get that you've made opinions and decisions quite often, me too, about things we never even experienced? Alright, so be more open-minded before you decide about something. Alright, so give people the benefit of the doubt too. Too often if somebody says something to us, then we decide that they're like starting a fight with us or something. So be more open-minded about that person's intention before we conclude that they want to fight us. I've never hit somebody, but you get my point, okay? It's like, we have this, somebody looks at you, they may have gas or indigestion, but we make it mean they want to fight us. It's a look. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy what's happening in society. Like, there was a woman, I think the story goes that she was doing sign language because she was deaf, but somebody thought she was doing like gang symbols and they killed her. Alright, so it's like, it's like, what the heck? And I talk about a story of like, the action and then totally being misinterpreted, you know what I mean? I hate to be such a buzzkill just now, like throwing that story in here, because you guys are like, like, oh. Right? It's just, you guys experienced that just now. I can't be laughing, he said she got killed. What the hell is he doing? Oh, darn. Alright, so training objectives. Let's jot these down and then we'll stand up and get a little blood in our butts as I'm speaking. Pay attention to your thoughts right now. Even some of you guys are like, oh, these chairs are hard. I've already seen this stuff in the video. Alright, you gotta do your best to kind of keep your thoughts connected to what's actually, happening right now versus letting your mind wander. What do I do later? Did I bring my food with me? I was supposed to. Maybe I wasn't. What are we gonna do about that? I'm gonna be hungry. Oh no, It's like, whatever. My buddy sucked at Cutco, but maybe I'll do well. Like, what? Or my buddy did awesome. Is he going to expect that I do as well as them? Is there pressure on me? It's like, holy crud, man. I got all these like thoughts that are like psyching you out. Pay attention to those things, please. Alright, so my objective for you guys, write this down, fun, income, and experience. But I want you to have your own objectives too. Fun, income, and experience. Fun, income, and experience. So I'll feel satisfied. Well, I'll always choose to feel satisfied. But ultimately, my intention is to have you guys have fun, gain money, and experience, and then I want you guys to also have your list of things that you're accomplishing as well, alright, whatever's important to you. So when it comes to fun, if you're not, if it's not fun, then don't do something. Now, make things fun. Do you guys get that? Too often, is fun the thing, or is fun your opinion of the thing? Yeah, so there's no such thing as a fun thing, because it's not agreed upon by every human being. It's not like a law, right? So just know that you choose what is and is not fun, but too often, unfortunately, we wait for the thing to like show up as fun, but then we wouldn't be taking responsibility for having a good time. I mean, shoot, I could like shovel elephant poo for a living at the circus, if I really wanted to and have fun doing it. I'm not saying I would do that forever. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that either, though. But I'm just saying I choose that. You ever meet those people that no matter what, they have a good time? They still get their things accomplished, but they just like, They don't sit there and complain about it all along. They're just like, all right, let's have some fun. We're gonna have to do it anyway. We might as well enjoy it. All right? Like, I love people like that. And I've worked hard to train myself to be that. I wasn't always like that at all. All right, I was like, we gotta get this done right now. I was always very serious. Come on, make me best. Let's go. Like, what the hell? Drill sergeant, great. Awesome. So, fun, income, and experience. When it comes to income, guys, let's review pay a little bit here so you have an understanding of it. You guys know every week you'll compare the base pay with the commission pay. Your objective is to earn higher on what, though? Absolutely, right? Because that means that customers are getting what? More product. Have that be the spirit of what you're doing, please, okay? That way you don't have dollar signs in your eyes, although you can acknowledge the fact that you do make more money. It's okay to have an everybody wins mentality. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It's a win-win, right? You get more money, but your customers get good product line. But you want to start to be responsible for looking at a number or an outcome and have it mean something to you, like important, so you're motivated. So to me, when I see sales, I think of customers using product forever and enjoying it. It's just to me, it's just a cleaner way to motivate myself. It's more of like a helping, feel-good type of thing. Okay, that's just what I do. And when I think of like your sales, I connect it to you growing as a person. So you see how it makes it just more significant in my mind, and I'm more motivated to then teach you guys. Okay, so when you make more on commission, know that that's symbolic of something. It's creating something. Okay, and then you're more motivated to make it work for yourselves. Right? The base pay comforts you. The commission pay is designed to inspire you. Okay, I cut the financial umbilical cord for my parents, because of Cutco, which was great. Right? We literally have 18, 19-year-olds across this country making literally thousands upon thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars throughout their collegiate career and beyond. We have people that are CSPs, Cutco sales professionals, that do $200K a year or make six-figure income selling Cutco. I'm not saying that that's what you're going to choose to do, but I'm saying that opportunity exists, however, right? And because these people are focused on making a difference for customers, it all stems back to that. And they also have to believe in the product line, so do you. Product conviction is critical. So, just to paint the picture, if you can't see this, I'm going to explain it anyway. 10 demos, 10 demos, 10 demos. We're assuming all 3 of these reps did 10 demos, guys, first weekend. Your first pay check is based on Saturday, when you leave, till Tuesday, 6 a.m. You should write that down. Tuesday, 6 a.m. is the cutoff. I say Tuesday, I know it's a random time, but it's not really. It's just typing orders into the computer. If you type an order into the computer, it's really by Monday night, because I doubt you're going to type an order in at 4 a.m. on a Tuesday. But just so you know, Cutco has to have a pinpointed end to the week, so that way they can then tabulate everything. Okay, so Tuesday, 6 a.m., boom, the computer, tabulates whatever was done prior to that. Okay, so you have Saturday, Sunday, Monday to impact your first paycheck, okay? So let's assume you do 10 demos. Not everybody here will. We're looking to average 10. So some of you will do 6, some of you do 14. I think we know that already, okay? So let's assume 10 now. Keep the math pretty simple. 10 demos, 10 demos, 10 demos. Let's go ahead and give 3 different examples though. The one on the far left, how many sales did this person have? 4. The one in the middle? 6. And the one on the far right? 9, okay? So each one did the same amount of effort though, didn't they? 10 demos. They differ in their ability to create results, however. Following the program, confidence. It usually goes back to this, however. Expectation. Okay, this average order here we're assuming is $250. We're assuming this rep's average order is $300. We're assuming this rep's average order is $500. Just has to do with whether you promote selling a set or not, usually. Okay? What's 4 times 250? $1,000. So we're assuming this rep sold $1,000 worth of Cutco. We call it CPO because it's commission paid on that number, right? That's the amount of product sold. The middle rep, we assume 6 sales times $300 each is how much? $1,800. And then this one's 9 times $500. This rep first weekend sold. So this is like Steven in this room last week, right? This is like a bunch of people did a little over $1,000, and then we had like 3, 4, or 5 people do anywhere from like the $1,700 to $2,200 range. Yeah, that's what, you know what I mean? Okay, so now the way to calculate your commission, you guys know the first $1,000, you're at what percentage? And the second you at $1,000, you're now up to 15%. Okay, so this rep here made $100 commission, because that's what 10% of 1,000 is. This rep here, they sold $1,800. The first 1,000 they make $100. The next 800 though, they get 15% of that. Actually, so this rep here made $220 in commission. If you don't understand the math, that's fine. I'll revisit this on day 3 with you guys, or I'll just help you calculate it. Okay. All right. This rep over here, they did $4,500. The first 1,000 they made 10%. That's $100 commission. The next 2,000 of it, they make 15%. So that's $300. The remaining 1,500 of this, though, because it's above 3K, is at 20%, exactly. So it's at 300. So this rep made how much commission here? $700. Okay? So now we have to compare it, though. Because the reps each did 10 demos, we guarantee how much per demo? $22. Okay, so to live up to our end of the bargain, we have to make sure each of these guys and gals gets at least 200 and... Now, if the commission's already higher, do we add anything to that that commission? The answer is no. Okay. If the commission's less, though, we add whatever the difference is. We add enough to be able to give the $22 each. Okay. So this far left example, because they only made $100 commission and they're guaranteed to get $220, we have to add $120 to this check. This example here, the rep got $220 from their commission. We guaranteed $220. So do we have to add anything? No. This rep here made $700. Is that already higher than $220? Yeah. So we don't add anything to that. You just keep the $700. Now remember the base pay, commission pay worksheet from the interview, guys? I'll show it to you again. However, if you did forget, if you need base pay, this gets handed in. So the rep in the middle and the rep on the right, will they hand this in? No, because their commission's already enough to compensate them because they already typed their orders into the computer. The rep on the far left, though, has to write down, add an extra $120 to my check, and then you hand it in. You get it? All right, with who you saw for the first weekend. Okay, so you'll get this packet on Saturday. If you need base pay, hand it in. If not, just keep it. That's why I have my sheet laminated from 13 years ago. I kept it, because I never needed base pay. All right? Last week's group, I want to say four out of like the 20 we launched needed some base pay, which is fine, is what it is. You guys get that? All right, the other 16 did not, so be it. But now it's cool. Will any of these reps here ever go back to 10% ever again? No, because they all hit their first promotion. That's the beauty of it. So even if they were to repeat the same amount of effort and work, actually their commission would go up, like the amount of money they're making. So if you like one of the 4 people who needed base pay last week, the idea is that they won't, ideally, next week, right? Because they're now operating at a higher commission rate or percentage level, yeah. Now, when you get to FSM, that's when it's really sexy and exciting, right? FSM is when you sell $30,000 in Cutco, you keep 50%. So this rep right here would make $2,250 in income off of this work, okay, which is over $200 per demo. Our FSMs usually make more than what the average lawyer or doctor makes per hour. Not elite doctors or lawyers, obviously they're worth a lot of money. All right, but if you look at the average lawyer nowadays, average doctor, our FSMs in the field are making more per demo. Pretty neat, okay? Because some of them have like $1,000 average orders, right? And they're taught how to do that. It's not like born in them; they learn it. All right, and their success rate's like 90%. So it's 10 demos, 9 sales. That's $9,000 in Cutco if they're at a $1,000 average order. That's why you see the national newsletter each week, guys. And I'll give one of these to you to keep tomorrow. All right, where our top reps in the nation did anywhere from $4,000 to $7,000, and anywhere from $3,000 to $14,000. Last week we had one rep do $32,000 himself. And he used an FSM, so he made $16,000 for the week. Don't go home to mom and dad and promote those numbers unless you're willing to work as hard as those people, and unless you're willing to learn what those people learn. You guys get it? Because otherwise you're just promoting hype. Okay, so I'm just showing you what's possible. I'm not saying that you'd have to hit these in order to feel successful, but I'm showing you what's possible. Fair enough? All right, so that's the whole, my purpose is always to be a visionary for you and say, hey, here's what's possible, but you have to take the action appropriate to get that. Okay, I'm never going to let you guys go after a certain goal and not have a plan. That'd be irresponsible. Right, because then you'd be fantasizing instead of actually having like a real, proven goal and a method of going after it. In terms of experience, map out what that looks like to you. Public speaking, growth, team, leadership qualities. Pay attention to the things I'm teaching you and be like, all right, wow, I want to learn to teach other people those things. I'd like for all of you to be future executives or just great leaders of families or whatever, someday. Or right now, okay? Depending on your personal situation that you're in, okay? Norman Breaker sold Cutco back in the day. He at one time ran Burger King, Cosymel's, Bennigan, Steak and Ale, Jack in the Box, Macaroni Grill, Cheesy, Cosymel's. Very wealthy dude. I think he passed away a few years back. But in the book, it talks about how in 1954 he sold Cutco. Pretty cool. So some of you guys may own a company as big as Burger King someday. Make sure you give us a shout out. I'm not always going to be the Cutco guy, but I'll definitely give Cutco a shout out. You know what I mean? All right. So I have every intention of impacting millions of people eventually. I'm 34. Now I'm ready to really put the hammer down and teaching and inspiring and using technology and other things. I'm considering actually getting my PhD. It's going to take 6 years probably though. But hey, why not? As long as I'm learning, from now to the day I die, I'll have a happy life. Norman Vincent Peale, Power of Positive Thinking. I wrote a very famous book. All right, sold Cutco back in the day. Jill Spiegel, her parents created her grandparents created the Spiegel catalog or whatever. She's a motivational speaker, author. She sold Cutco and became a branch, not a district, but a branch, meaning a college kid owning an office for a summer. All right, Kiplinger Personal Finance Magazine sold Cutco before creating the magazine. Guys, we've had a bunch of different people, famous actors, Olympians. You know, one of the head figures at Facebook now, the guys who are in charge of like their programming and like the boot camp that they put people through and all that. Sold Cutco out in California and also became an assistant manager for a while. All right, now he's he's like third or fourth like highest in like Facebook, all right, which is phenomenal. They call him Boz or something, B-O-Z. All right, so anyway, I'm proud of that fact. Okay, so he took what he learned here and he was been able to apply it to other industries, other ventures, and other businesses. And obviously, Facebook's definitely had an impact on our society. Alright, so, yes it has. It's changed how we do business and how we live our lives. Cutco's used at Purdue. You guys remember that? Okay, so that's cool. So you're going to learn skills that other colleges are requiring their students learn by selling Cutco. So you guys are, learning what people are using in textbooks right now. You're going to learn skills to put on your resume. It'll make you more desirable in the real world. I shouldn't say that. It's always going to be real world. But it'll make you more desirable, whatever future endeavors you're into. Okay? Because on paper, it's going to show you develop kick-butt life skills. And companies want that. Treat yourself like a stock. As I spit on myself. Increase your value and then sell yourself at a higher price. Okay? Or take the skills and create a company from scratch would be my advice I give to all of us. All right? But do add value to your life by increasing your skill set and your knowledge, please. All right? That's how you can use it long term. We covered that already. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let's go through why we do what we do, and in you being able to answer that, you will believe and expect in the program. Okay? So, first question, why do we sell directly? You guys know there's direct sales and there's retail sales, right? Retail sales would be in a store like Macy's. Direct sales, we sit down, we go to them in their kitchen, show them Cutco. Why do we do what we do versus retail selling?
It's more personal.
Done. More personal, good. What else? Higher success rate, closing ratio, because we can answer questions instead of like opening a box to speak at somebody. All right, yeah.
Help them like formulate their own opinion as opposed to just like going to the store and looking at it and making their own opinion based on nothing.
I love that you just said that. Okay, here's why. That's really what persuasion is. You're influencing somebody's opinion before they make it, but ultimately they make it. But don't you want to influence it in advance? Kind of go back to the open-minded thing, right? All right, that's so cool. Yeah. All right.
Cuts out the middleman, so it's less expensive for the customers.
Bingo, yeah, for sure. Now, we definitely cost more, but I'm glad we cost more because we use great material, right? Instead of having LeBron James wear it on his feet. You guys know endorsements, jack up price of things. And also, if something goes through a lot of different channels, it also jacks up the price too. I don't mind paying more on something if I know that I'm paying for the materials that make it better. I hate paying more on something because it was imported or something. Or paying more again because somebody else advertises it, like endorses it. I want to pay more because it's better, it's durable. I'll get my money's worth over time. Last but not least, they get hands-on experience. I think some of you may have said that already, but anyway, they actually feel the product in their hand. All right, they know that it works. They get their questions answered. They instead of like trusting a picture on a box. We also can separate out from the clutter of everything else. So they see something really cheap and junky made overseas. And then they see Cutco, and they don't know why Cutco's better. They're going to obviously usually settle on getting the crappier version, but then it's going to break, planned obsolescence, and all that stuff, right? So that's why we do what we do. January, great time to sell. I want to make sure you make up your mind about that, so that way your parents are like, well, Christmas is over. How are you going to sell anything? All right, that's just not real, okay? There's a lot of consumer spending going on right now. It's colder out. People do more what? Cooking, great. People are more relaxed, so you can actually set up appointments with them. Okay, that's good. Versus last week they were stressed out. Now they have more free time for you to go sit down with them. Knives, yeah, sure, they're good gifts, but usually it's something you'd buy for your own house. It's not usually the thing you'd see under the Christmas tree or something. Okay, here's your box. It does exist. Don't get me wrong. However, usually it's something you'd buy for your own home. Out with the old in with the new mentality. End of the year bonuses. So, guys, we sell Cutco no matter what time of year it is, and the newsletter shows that. That was from last 7 days. As a company, we did between $2 and $3 million last week alone. Okay, and that number is just going to go up even higher this week. We should probably do about $6 million as a company, my prediction, this week. Maybe even a bit higher. Summertime, we're jamming. We have our biggest sales forces. We usually operate at about, certain weeks, $10 million a week as a company. All right, so positive stuff. Why do you guys book up your own appointments versus us calling people for you? Yes?
drop names, like make a personal relationship.
Bingo. So we have influence over keeping it personal. Friend of friend versus solicitor telemarketer. Awesome. Why else though?
Alright, so I'll move you over
Yes.
and enjoy the
More experience, you don't rely on someone else to do yourself.
Super. Teaches you to be an entrepreneur. Exactly. Okay, I love that too. And you get to create your own schedule, which piggybacks that, you know, because you're the one that's going to know when your dollar signs are. You guys remember this whole thing, dollar signs? Because each week, before you leave tomorrow, you're going to hand one of these in. So please make sure tonight is one of your assignments. Find out from mom, dad, and other family members whatever's going on for you. You guys know that? And instead of being, I don't know, you know, find out. And then that way you know your gaps in your schedule, you will then fill those. It's like a doctor giving the nurse or the receptionist their openings, right? And then they say, hey, make sure when the patients call, this is when I'm available to meet with the patient. So your dollar signs are you being a working professional. So different than a real estate agent choosing when they want to work. No different than a lawyer knowing what hours, what billing hours they have available when they want to do things versus when they want to travel and do whatever else, or be at their kid's baseball game, etc. Okay, so you're going to need to be mature enough to kind of know ahead of time, you know, and then that's where you'll map it out. So by you calling the people, you create this and you control this. Fair enough? But ultimately, it really does go back to the whole keeping it personal. All right, so if we were in Starbucks and your friend came over, we'd have them in common. Hey, what's going on? I know, well, great. All right, versus me going up to a random table. Remember, it's like, get out of here. What the heck are you? All right, so I can't call people for you because they'd be like, Joe, who? What? Get out of here. All right, whereas it's like, hey, this is Joe. I just sat down with Judy the other day. How are you? Great. All right, so that's why it works the way it works, guys. You see people you know first because it's safer. Again, warm market. We'll never do cold calling. You need a name to drop. Make sure people know you're paid either way, but don't beat it to death. That way you don't be like, oh, I feel weird. Guys, nobody will buy just because they know you. I say that to you because you guys think you have like this control over people. You don't, right? They're middle-aged people. They have the choice. Cutco's not a Girl Scout cookie. The average order is how much? $300, their office average order. Okay, so nobody's going to buy it just because they like your shoes. Or they, you know what I mean? Alright, they get it because they like Cutco. Evidence of that, you won't sell every time. I have no problem promoting that. You already know that, right? 8 out of 10 implies how many no sales out of 10? 2 and 8 sales. We already know that. I don't mind getting an occasional no sale because that tells me the person still had fun. And it tells me everybody else who bought to get the product, not to please me. Get the difference? Okay? So like all that whole like, alright, that kind of goes back to the whole people you know thing. We already talked about that earlier. Okay. So here's the deal. We're going to, everybody stand up, get some blood in your butts. Finally.